Can we come up to some agreement? Heartbeat and brainwaves probably a good time to cut off abortion, because that's right around 6 to 8 weeks, right around there.
Sure.
Okay,
I'm not fine with that.
So you're like a radical right winger, man. So
I'm not like
that's,
I'm not like a.
Our conservative comrade Charlie Kirk single-handedly manages to flip a pro-abortion college student to the side of at least very close to being pro-life. No, guys, this is not a joke. It's a very cool thing to happen. We see it happen in real time in this video, and we're gonna get right into it, and you're gonna witness that. But first, everybody, please make sure you like our video, share it around, and subscribe to the Resist the Mainstream YouTube channel. Why subscribe? So you can see more thoughtful discussions like this. This is actually a really good one, guys. I enjoy it. I think you're gonna enjoy it too. So please go ahead and hit that subscribe button so we can keep bringing you more of this stuff. I'm your host, Darian. Let's get into the show.
Hey, Charlie. It's nice to meet you. I wanted to have a discussion with you on abortion. My position currently, but it's open to change, is that I'm pro-choice up until the 20-week mark, where my understanding is the studies say that the subjective conscious experience is what I kind of value about life, and so I kind of draw the line right there, and then abortion's past then, I would be in favor of outlawing.
Okay.
What's your position on that?
It's a reasonable question. Would you say we should stop abortions when brainwaves start?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if brainwaves are an indication of the subjective conscious experience, then I'd say yes.
Okay, so 6 weeks, not 20 weeks.
If that's when the mark is and the parts of the brain are communicating with each other to deploy the subjective conscious, I'm fine with 6 weeks.
6 weeks, aside from the brainwaves, is also when the fetal heartbeat starts. And by the way, guys, make no mistake, you have a lot of Democrat politicians, Stacey Abrams being a somewhat recent example, who will go ahead and claim that, oh, the heart week argument is a complete lie. It's a concoction of the right wing. It's just an electoral pulse. No, it's a heartbeat. That's science. They're lying. So just a little heads up there.
Yeah. So are human beings more than brainwaves?
Are they more than brainwaves?
Are you more than just brainwaves?
No. I don't think so.
So you're nothing more than just brainwaves?
I don't think so, personally.
Okay.
I think that's the most important thing. Like, the example that I would give you, the example that I would give is a person in comatose, right, who's indefinitely in coma and is not going to wake up, is hooked on life support. Right. Arguably, they have the unique DNA, they have the heartbeat still going, connected to the ventilator. I don't know if you would agree with that, but arguably the most important part that we're looking at there is whether they're awake or not. If they're not going to wake up, I wouldn't consider it murder to kill that
People
person.
come out of comas all the time.
That's true. That's true.
If you want, you can come up in a sec. Yeah.
I would say that just because there's a temporary lapse in the communication between like the brain, or just because there's a temporary lapse in you still have the parts of the brain that are able to deploy the subjective conscious experience.
Can we come up to some agreement? Heartbeat and brainwaves probably a good time to cut off abortion, because that's right around 6 to 8 weeks, right around there.
Sure. I'm not fine with that.
So you're like a radical right winger, man. So
I'm not like I don't want to be like,
hard time. You're coming here in good faith.
Yeah, sure.
Not only that kid is probably a radical right-winger, given what he just said and his open-mindedness and agreeing with Charlie Kirk on cutting off abortions at 6 to 8 weeks, he's probably a far-right extremist and a fascist and a white supremacist. Next thing you know, he's going to be lifting weights and maybe even going to church. I don't know. But guys, you think I'm joking, but this is actually something the mainstream media has preached. We have The Guardian, Time Magazine, MSNBC. They have all literally linked decent things such as exercise and caring about your health with far-right fascism and white supremacy and things like that. It's bonkers, guys. Don't ask me who makes these rules up, because I don't know. It's on another level that I can't even comprehend. It's just crazy.
At least you're looking at some sort of rational restriction, right?
And sure, of course. Yeah.
The radical left, they say no restrictions whatsoever, just let the mother choose.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
No, I'm not saying you do. But
no.
And on its face, it doesn't make any sense, because if it's the mother's choice, always if the baby's completely viable, right, throughout the gestational period, even the third trimester, a third trimester baby at 28, 29, 30 weeks can survive outside of the womb. How is it any different than in the womb, right?
Sure,
and
course,
so a value of a baby does not change just because the size, level of development, environment, or degree of dependency that the baby has on the mother.
Yeah,
and so those of us that are pro-life, we articulate a position that is not always popular, but it's morally correct, which is that life begins at conception, which it begins when new DNA is formed, and you are not fully formed at that beginning, but that is when human life actually begins.
I don't mean this as a gotcha question, but it's actually genuinely
you could try your best.
Curiosity. No, it's not.
I've heard almost all of them.
Sure. Would you consider Plan B like murder? Because there's
well, it could be. So Plan B, we don't know if it actually is terminating a fertilized egg. So because Plan B could be an abortifacient, but it is taken as a precautionary potential abortifacient, right?
Sure.
So there's a difference between what is an at-home abortion, which is now widespread, where someone knows that they are currently in a gestational 39, 40 week development of a human being, whereas Plan B is like, I had unprotected sex, I'm going to take this just in case, right? And essentially what Plan B does is it nuclear bombs all the eggs, right? For that particular, and excuse the, graphic nature of it, but that's what it does. So it depends on if the egg is actually fertilized or not, which is, I would never, encourage anyone to use Plan B, but it's a little more complicated than
I understand. And then my second question,
yes.
Just another hypothetical situation that I've heard on a podcast. I know you've been on the Whatever podcast.
Yep. It's right down the street. They film right down the street, by the way, in Santa Barbara.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I really like watching they have good content.
Yeah, it's not a great group of people, but yeah.
Oh, really? Why? Okay, well, I won't.
It's pretty self-evident, but yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, so there was a woman on there. Her name was Jasmine, and I thought she posed like a pretty interesting hypothetical where there's a burning building, right? And you have 10 fertilized embryos and 3 live babies, and it's burning, and you only have an option to choose one. Which one are you saving?
That's a tough question. I mean, first of all, it depends if the embryos will ever be used. That's the better question. So if you can guarantee the embryos will then be used into full fertilization, then to be consistent, you would have to save the 10 embryos. Okay. If they're fully fertilized, then will be used, yes. But the 3 babies have already gone through the entire gestational period, survived potential miscarriages, other side of, birth-related issues. But that's a fair and very good question that, to be principled, you have to answer it a certain way.
Well, that was actually quite a pleasant exchange, and I don't know about you guys, but I enjoyed it. I think the kid shows he's got an open mind. Seems like just a decent guy, a nice, friendly dude, as far as you can tell, really cool demeanor and stuff. And he actually was even willing to change his mind a bit after Charlie told him some things he didn't know. So kudos to him, that's awesome. That example that Jasmine brought up on the Whatever podcast, it's very obvious that that's an example to kind of debunk, the pro-life argument, so to speak, show that they're hypocrites of some sort or that they're inconsistent in some manner. To give you guys an idea of what an intellectual titan Jasmine is, because I actually did some research on her after this, she was on the Whatever podcast. That same woman, Jasmine, has quite literally argued that she has no qualms about her future children potentially being bullied over her work. Her work is being an online prostitute. She does OnlyFans. She solicits her body for men on the web. She argues that's okay and not a big deal because, and I'm not kidding, I'm not making this up, because, well, some people used to say that if your parents are gay, you'll get bullied, and attitudes changed on that. So by extension of that, attitudes will change on women doing sex work. Okay, well, I don't think I'd even need to discuss why that's ridiculous or how that doesn't make any sense. So I'll let you guys just chew on that for a moment. Anyways, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I know I did. I thought that was a great civil exchange between Charlie and that gentleman right there. So with all that being said, guys, comment below. Let us know what you liked about the video. Tell us what you want to see next, and we'll see you all again soon. Thanks so much, and God bless.